Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. This is our second week being presented by the New London Hospital. What a big year for this award-winning community hospital, so vital to all of our health and well-being. New London Hospital is celebrating with the return of hospital days this Thursday through Sunday. Today, we'll meet with Tom Manion, the president and CEO of New London Hospital, for an update on COVID, vaxing, and the current state of their staffing and services. Anastasia Glavas will tell us about the Warner Palooza at the Indian Museum. Stay tuned to learn about what this is all about. Jen Esten will give us a primer on Loon watching. And we'll close with Miriam Carter as she preps for this year's Craftsmen's Fair starting this weekend at Mount Sunapee. But first, a few words from some of the good businesses that make it possible for us to bring you YCN, Your Local View, and Yankee Chronicle. Please stay with us.
This program is supported by Main Street Bookends of Warner. For books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from New London Hospital right here in downtown New London. And I'm now joined by President and CEO Tom Manion. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for being our host. I know it's you and a slew of other people, but while I have you here, I appreciate you hosting us.
Absolutely, no problem. Thanks for being here.
This is a great community hospital that everybody utilizes here. And you know, being in the forefront of COVID, we have to just jump right to it. How are things going? And you have some exciting vaccination updates for not only kids, but boosters too.
Absolutely, and I'll start with that. So it is exciting. We're finally at the place where, you know, as a father of 4 kids, several of which who are under 5, you know, my 2-year-old and 4-year-old were recently able to get their first vaccine.
Really
and
exciting.
Actually, this past weekend they got their second dose of their 3-dose series that they're going to get. So
Got it.
Which is great. So really, it's for children now, 6 months and older. You're able to get vaccinated. And we know there are a number of people who are waiting and are on the sidelines. So we know roughly around 18 to 20% of people are kids who are eligible are getting their vaccines. We really want people to take that seriously, to think about getting their kids vaccinated. If for nothing else, it makes it a lot easier for work life type of issues, but also long COVID is a very real thing. And we do know now, there are studies and there's data to prove it, that if you are vaccinated, the odds of you developing long COVID are greatly diminished.
Right.
So, you know, for children, if you can give them something that's a gift at all, and I have a family member who has developed symptoms of long COVID who wasn't vaccinated, and it's real. It's not something that you just is made up. It is a real thing, and I know if you had an opportunity to do something about it, I really think you should, and I am for my family. We're doing everything we can to get them vaccinated.
And it must feel a little safer for you by going out and being able to do things as a family in public, knowing that so many of your family members and into your household are vaccinated.
Absolutely. And then my oldest, my 6-year-old, he just recently got his first booster. So
cool.
So it's one of those things where I absolutely am somebody who's trying to practice what we preach.
Sure.
And, it's not just good for my kids, but it's good for the rest of the family. My parents, my wife's parents, you know, people who are older that are still immunocompromised, and doing what we can to protect them. The other thing, so for those who are 50 and older, you're able to get your second booster now, which is great. Again, those are other things we want to encourage people to do. In New Hampshire, we know that at least 70% of the state has at least one vaccine. Around 60 to 63% have received their booster. And so this fall, there will likely be another booster. The timeline we've been told is going to be around October, it could be November, depending on supply chain issues. We're still waiting to get the final date on that. But there will be what's known as a bivalent vaccine that's going to have a vaccine that will be able to help protect against the Omicron variant, particularly. Exactly. And so That's going to be a really great thing, and we're waiting for all the approvals to come through to make that a reality. But that's going to be available to likely everyone.
Amazing.
And yeah, I mean, as much as we all look, we're over this too.
Yeah.
We get that people are so sick and tired of COVID, but we have these tools, and not everyone's using them.
Right.
To get vaccinated is huge. And here at the hospital, the last thing I'll say that's just super important: we still have to wear masks.
Right.
We have to wear masks.
Yep.
We have to protect each other, our patients. We have instances where a few people will get sick, and because of how contagious this is, it takes a whole slew of our staff offline. If we do that, that closes beds.
Right.
Beds get closed means people wait in ERs.
Right.
When people wait in ERs, bad things happen.
Exactly.
And so the ERs today are already super full. It is incumbent upon all of us to help each other out. And our hospitals have been stressed. I would say we're still almost completely full on a regular basis.
Really?
Yeah, and I would say most hospitals are still at that place. This fall, we're anticipating another pretty substantial surge. And right now, as of today, here it is, getting on toward the end of July, we're seeing cases starting to tick up over 100 again, and it's going up, up, and up. And so with 2 out of 3, or depending what it is, the reports change daily, cases are now BA4, BA5, the new variant. We want to make sure, even if folks think like it's not a big deal, who cares? It is a big deal.
Right.
Your hospitals.
Yes.
And we need to make sure we're here to care for people, not just for COVID,
right,
but for everything else too.
And then COVID just adds another element to it, right?
Absolutely. When we're jammed up, or we have people who are getting sick because we haven't taken all the steps to protect everyone, it's just really frustrating.
Right.
And so we want to be there for our community when they need us. But the ask is, please help us do everything we can to make sure that that's going to be a reality.
If someone's watching and they're saying, I need more information on how New London Hospital is helping, the fight against COVID, how do they do so?
So one of the first things, if they haven't been vaccinated, they can call our hospital to talk to the primary care provider to figure out where they can go. A lot of pharmacies are actually, they can give you vaccines locally, right? I know Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center has also done several vaccine clinics for their kids. That's where we're able to take our kids on Saturdays, quickly up there. Had to make a pit stop at a gas station for a candy bar afterwards to say thank you guys.
Yes, you have to bribe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll say that my 2 and 4-year-old were champs about it. They were very, very good. It's not that bad.
Yep.
But those are the things that you should do. And if you have questions, talk to your primary care provider.
Yep, for sure.
Ask them what it all means. And if there's, especially for kids, your pediatrician, those are really, really important conversations to have. I think your pediatricians will end up telling you the risks of not getting a COVID shot far outweigh the risks of getting it. A lot of the things that are out there around inflammation, around the heart and things like that, there's a greater risk of getting those things with COVID than it is with the vaccine. Right. So a lot of the things that are out there that people are concerned about, they're actually the concerns are far greater if you get COVID as opposed to getting vaccinated.
Well, and we just have to all do our part in order to fight this and hopefully see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Very much so. Tom, when we come back with you next week, we're going to talk about not only staffing, but also it is hospital day season, so we have to at least talk about that. But thank you for joining me this week.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ed.
Coming up next, we'll be joined by Anastasia Glavas to learn what a palooza is and how Warner is participating in their inaugural event. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages from a business that brings you Yankee Chronicle on YCN, your local view.
This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire, the Innertown Record.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. Warner always comes up with unique ways to celebrate their community. Let's hear about another one. Hi, Anna.
Palooza is a fun word. I actually think in Spanish it means rain, and we don't really want to have any rain for this event. We do have a rain date, by the way, of Sunday, August 14th, but Palooza is also a fun celebration type event. It is basically related to music. The annual Lollapalooza, which you may have heard of, does happen in Chicago every year. So we're really excited about Warner Palooza, which will be Saturday, August 13th from 10 to 4 p.m. right here in our beautiful powwow field at Mount Kearsarge Indian Museum in Warner, New Hampshire. We just held the powwow a few weekends ago, and it was a great success. On that weekend in August, we'll have a celebration of the community of Warner and all the great people, artists, businesses, nonprofits, organizations, etc. So they will set up booths here on our powwow field. They'll be selling their goods, passing out information. It's going to be wonderful. There will be food for sale, farm goods, crafts, just a whole host of things. Music, of course. You can't have a Palooza event without music. So we do hope to feature some local musicians during the day. It's free to attend, no fee to enter this event. Regular admission applies to tour the museum, which is free for members. So please consider a membership. It will really provide you with a host of benefits throughout the year. We hope you'll join us for this first time of offering Warner Palooza, and it will celebrate the great, great town of Warner, which we are so fortunate to be in. But we really wanted to put the focus on community because we believe that being part of this community is important and giving back to the community is important, not just the Native American community, but the community that we are in. So that's kind of a little bit about the history of Palooza and what this event is all about. Some of the great businesses that will be at Warner Palooza are, for example, Courser Farm, a family farm that has been here forever, Rue Bakers, Main Street Warner Inc., two of our fellow museums in town, Warner Historical Society and the New Hampshire Telephone Museum, some great nonprofits like SCORE of Merrimack County, which I'm sure will provide excellent information, just some others I can think of. Bill Balsam Photography will be here. Cartoon Portraits by Georgia is another one. Log Cabin Leather by Jan. Jan actually happens to work here at the Indian Museum and is a huge supporter. So those are just a few that come to mind. If you want to eat, we'll have Warner Pizza Chef, some great baked goods from local folks, and also the museum will have a food booth, hopefully selling hot dogs and snacks and drinks, and we're in the process of lining up all our volunteers to help us out with that. So lots of great options for Warner Palooza. The Indian Museum, again, is located at 18 Highland Road in beautiful Warner, New Hampshire. We're a short drive from downtown on the way up to Mount Kearsarge. It's scenic, it's lovely. As you can see behind me, you can use exit 8 or 9. Of course, feel free to go to our website to get information on directions, indianmuseum.org.
Thanks, Anna. Sounds like a fun day celebrating Warner. Coming up next, we'll hear from Esten and John Waage of the Pleasant Lake Protective Association on loon watching. That's up next here on Yankee Chronicle, so stay tuned.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and backup generators. Their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating.
I've been watching the loons on Pleasant Lake for 18 or 20 years and watched them raise their chicks, and I've learned a lot about watching loons in the process and how to give them the space they need. One of them is to not to follow them. If you really want to see loons, you need to just sit, put your paddle down if you're in a kayak, and drift. And one thing that we find important is to be on the lake side of the loons. If you get in between the shore and the birds and you're drifting towards them, it pushes the loons out into the middle of the lake where there are motorboats and other hazards. They will let you know if you're too close.
My strategy in a kayak or a paddleboard or something would be get a good sense of which way the wind's blowing. Get upwind from them at a safe distance and just let the wind blow you peacefully by them. If they get agitated, back up, go away. You can come around and try it again. We find our best pictures we get, we're using really high-powered cameras. This is a 100 to 500 millimeter lens, and that's basically what I'm mostly shooting. I think the best way to watch loons, if you're not trying to get professional pictures, is to use binoculars. A good pair of binoculars, you can basically drift along, watch what they're doing, spend a little while with them, come back some other day and check them out again.
And some of the behavior you might see if you're infringing on their space is their foreheads feathers go up and get squared off, and their heads are lifted up high, or their heads are way down low in the water. And they'll also do a behavior called penguining, when they will get up and come charging at you on their back feet. If they're on a nest and you're getting anywhere close, they'll put their head way down low on the nest, and then you know you're too close then too. Well, 150 feet is the best distance to keep. We find that we can get closer in the kayak, putting down the paddle and drifting. They will sometimes then come to you, and you can find yourself quite close to them. We also recommend not getting in between the parents and their chick. That can distract the parents and leave the chick vulnerable to predation. Once the chicks hatch, they're on the nest only a day or two, and then they're off, and that's it. They don't go back again. The rest of the summer they're out on the water. And when they're tiny, they're very hard to see. They're little brown balls of fluff. They're also very afraid of dogs. We've seen people in motorboats with their dogs, and if the dog's barking, they get very, very agitated. Well, Loon Preservation Committee is one of the best loon organizations in the country. They do a lot of research, and they've brought back the population in this state dramatically. But one of the ways they've done that, and we've done it on this lake, is with nesting rafts. If people would want to know more about loons and the Loon Preservation Committee, go to loon.org. If you'd like to know more about Pleasant Lake Protective Association, go to plpa.net. We have a link on there to sign up for our newsletter. We put out a newsletter. John and I write a newsletter every maybe 10 days to 2 weeks, and we document our loon family all summer long, and we've added a lot of information about the local watershed as well, nature and science of watershed. And John, being a biologist, it can be very informative.
Thank you, Jen and John. What beautiful creatures. In our final interview, Miriam Carter from the New Hampshire League of Craftsmen will tease us with the lead up to this year's fair at Mount Sunapee and show us blacksmith Jay Aubertin in action. Stay with us here on Yankee Chronicle on YCN, your local view.
Can I go to the sleepover?
I want you to promise me something. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing.
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.
Welcome back. I'm Abby Peel, your host of Yankee Chronicle. The 2022 New Hampshire League of Craftsmen is on the calendar. Let's hear more about this annual event. Hi, Miriam.
Thanks, Abby. So the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen is a 90-year-old New Hampshire organization. We're going to have our 89th fair this year, but we're a very important organization in the state because our roots are here. We were born out of the Depression, so while we were going through the pandemic, it's one of those things that I remembered and called on to understand that we had the resiliency and the creativity to just make it through a hard time, and we've done that. I'm grateful to our members and also the people who support us, all of the people who come to the fair, all the people who support our galleries throughout the state. Our mission is to advance, cultivate, and champion excellence in fine craft. So everything we do is all craft, and it's all about the makers, and that's best seen at the annual Craftsman's Fair here at Mount Sunapee Resort every August. We're always the first Saturday in August. It's a good thing to remember. This year we're running a little bit late because the Saturday is on the 6th. So this year the fair will be running to August 6th through the 14th. We bring in the work of over 350 artists who are all juried members of this organization. But this year there's a little bit of an exception, as there has been in past years. We do have an invited guest program where we invite craftspeople who are equivalent in skill set in their mastery of a certain craft, but one that maybe we don't have very much representation in it. So we want a broad view of craft. We want to share the world of craft with all the people who come to see it. We have lots of demonstrations. We want to show people what kind of joy you can discover in making a handmade object. So you'll have the opportunity to work with clay, watch glass blowers, metalsmiths, and you mostly have the opportunity to talk to the makers of the beautiful work in their booths. One of the best parts of coming to a craft fair is actually to meet the maker, talk with them, and then when you purchase a piece, you have the memory of that conversation. I have a theory that a cup of coffee made or produced in a handmade cup tastes much better than one from Walmart or some other place. I love thinking of the people who made the cup and the conversation we had when I purchased that cup. The League of New Hampshire Craftsmen has over 600 juried members throughout the state of New Hampshire, as well as into the borders of Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts. So today is a special day because we're going to introduce you to one of our members and the very special work that they do.
Getting into blacksmithing has been a progression of different things I've been interested in. I started off fabricating signage and was a cyclist and decided I wanted to learn how to build bicycles, so I did that. And that gradually blossomed into something a little bit more creative and diverse, and that was blacksmithing. And it's a lot of the same metal skills, so it was a nice transition, and it's really allowed me to be more creative in my everyday job. I am a modern blacksmith, I would call it, and a metal worker, and I do a lot of forge work and welding and copper work, railings. So that's an example of tapering the bar to a point, and I'll take another heat and I'll taper it a little bit more, and then we'll put a twist in it. Being a modern blacksmith, I utilize the technology at hand. I use an old school forge and anvil, but also welders and grinders and plasma cutters. The wire brush cleans the scale off the metal and keeps your forging nice and clean. And we're going to put a spiral on here. We're
working over the far edge of the anvil. I use all sorts of fun things that, make sparks and I can do more work with. Well, being a blacksmith, I don't actually have handrails on my house because I don't get those. I get to do handrails for other people's homes. And so far, it's been a lot of word of mouth and just making connections around the town, different events in town, and I start talking to people and they start talking and I get phone calls, and it's been working out pretty well that way. One of my favorite things is furniture because it allows me to create something that is functional but also aesthetically pleasing. And then a lot of times I'm doing a metal frame for something and a wood top or a wood bench, and then you just put the wood and the metal together, and that's really fun. I do my own woodwork. I'm definitely not a fine woodworker, but I know how to make a slab of wood flat and to finish it properly. Oh, the best part of the craft, in my opinion, is getting to meet people and talk to people about what they want, really kind of dive into their interests and their style, and then try to pull from that style and create something that really speaks to them. And then you get to deliver it, and they hopefully bowled over and start pulling apart the different details that you worked into the piece. If someone's interested in my work, I usually refer them to my website or my social media. I have an Instagram and Facebook page, and that Instagram and Facebook is really what's happening now and what's in my shop, and what it looks like when it's installed. On my website is a lot less progress pictures and more finished work.
We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope that you take advantage of learning more about the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen. Come to our fair in August at Mount Sunapee Resort, visit our fine craft galleries, or go to our website, nhcrafts.org. You can learn all about us, become a member, become a supporting member. We look forward to having you join us.
Thanks, Miriam and Jay. Mark your calendars for this classic Lake Sunapee region event. It's a wrap from today at New London Hospital. Next week, we step aside from our regular show for the presentation of the 2022 New London Hospital Days Parade. Join Ashley Rowley and myself as we bring the return of this community favorite event. This week on Game of the Week, we have football featuring Kearsarge and Pelham. It will play Sunday and Monday at noon and 7 p.m. on NCTV 8, TDS channels 13 and 1013, Roku, Apple TV. And for those that don't have cable, our YCNNow.com website now carries all of our programming 24/7. Just click on the live icon and go to the bottom of the page and click on the HTTP link and hit play. I'm Abby Peel. Join us again next week as we come to you from the New London Hospital Days Parade. Stay safe, everyone.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and backup generators. Their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. Main Street Bookends of Warner. For books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.